let's be clear, none of us are happy about a shutdown, right? Everyone's dealing with it in their own ways. And of course, there's going to be a deep economic consequences for the shutdown. To me, the messaging really has to be, the focus on health first and the focus on not overwhelming our healthcare systems. And that's really the goal here. It's, everybody wants to open as quickly as possible. I think the problem for the president is frustration in seeing that the economy is going to go through this really difficult period during the last year of his presidency, the first term of his presidency. That's got to be frustrating. At the same time, you don't want to see scenes of people in hospital beds in school gyms and convention centers, and he can't just turn the economy back on. That's not the way this works. We have governors and mayors and businesses themselves and sports leagues who have all made these decisions to keep their employees and their fans and their customers and their communities safe. So this isn't going to be an easy thing to do to reopen.
It's certainly not easy to turn off. It's not easy to turn back on. Eamon, Tony brought up a number of different industry groups and businesses. So if we can go back to where we are with lawmakers and potentially these two versions of the bill between Pelosi's and the bill that has failed sort of several times. I mean, what are the key measures in there to put in some backstops for the American public that is nervous about what's going to happen to their job security and so forth?
Well, look, in the Senate bill, I think the key is this small business provision, right? I mean, it's authorized at $300 billion, just this one piece of the Senate bill. But what it would do is give loans, small business loans, to companies under 500 employees. And those companies would have those loans entirely forgiven after just 4 months if they didn't lay anybody off. So the idea there is it's free money for small businesses that make a small business administration application. They get the money directly from their bank that they're used to dealing with. And as long as they don't lay anybody off, they don't have to pay back the loan. That's going to be huge for a lot of businesses. I think it's got an enormous impact. But to Tony's point, I mean, you talk about the president's authority here. Remember what triggered all this in the beginning. The first real domino here was the NBA, the National Basketball Association, saying it's going to suspend its season. That wasn't a presidential directive. And I don't think the NBA is necessarily going to be looking to the president on Monday to say whether or not they can go forward with their season or not. That will be one data point. They'll get some guidance from the White House, but they're going to talk to their own health professionals, look at their own business model, look at their own legal liability also, and then decide whether they can go forward or not. So I agree with Tony. The president doesn't just have a magic switch in the Oval Office that can turn the country back on. Once you shut this down, it's going to be very difficult and very complicated to turn it back on, and you're going to have all kinds of competing interests and factors in doing that.
Yeah, that's a good point. We're all sort of taking directions from different factions, whether it's government leaders, federal or state, local, or the businesses that many of us work for. Tony, as I'm thinking about the different businesses, small business certainly is a big one. Another one that is sort of near and dear to my heart is retail. It is the largest private employer in the country. You've got stores closed unless you're an essential location like a grocery store or a pharmacy location. This could be real trouble for the nation's retailers. Do you think that the president, the administration needs to look a little bit more carefully here because of, frankly, even just the number of people that the retail industry employs?
Yeah, I think it's the hardest one, and it is going to be the more difficult one to get back into business and all this. So, and we know the very big retailers, that are going to have access to some of the funding facilities are going to be able to get back to it a little bit better and to get bridged through this period a little bit better. The small retailers that Eamon talked about, I have to say, this is a historic effort in this plan. This has never been done before. So it's going to be, big to try to get money to all of these smaller retailers to get through this period, a bridge to the other side, and hopefully they'll be able to do it, because you're right. These are the vast majority of jobs in the country. In a place where I am right now, out in the mountains of Western Pennsylvania, that's most of the business. Out here is really retail. So we want to see these people get back to work and get back to their lives. And every little bit of this is going to count, whether it's payments to individuals, some of the unemployment insurance, direct loans to small businesses, and the big Fed, corporate paper facilities, all across this whole stream. And but it has to happen fast, because the people who work in retail, as you know, Courtney, you've interviewed these people. These are good jobs, but they're not the kind of jobs where you build up a lot of savings, and they cannot go through long periods of time of unemployment. It's very, very hard for them, and they're very worried right now.